This is your Monex Metals Market Update with Mike Maroney.
Good afternoon. Today is Monday, June 19th. My name is Mike Maroney, and I am coming to you today from the Monex Precious Metals studio. Let's talk about the Precious Metals Week in Preview. If you go back to last week's video, other than talking about how many of the world's billionaires are buying gold, we also talked about a key catalyst that basically sat out on the horizon. And that catalyst was the Federal Reserve and the fact that they were going to raise 1/4 point as far as the Fed funds rate was concerned. That did come to fruition, but we got a little bit more than just 1/4 point at last week's meeting. What the Fed inevitably did in their statement is they came out and talked about raising rates 2 more times in 2017, and they also did something that was not expected. They talked about actually selling assets from their balance sheet. Now, this is very interesting because currently the Federal Reserve has $4.5 trillion on their balance sheet. Approximately $2.7 trillion in government securities and $1.8 trillion in mortgage-backed securities. Now, they're talking about starting a program where they will sell, starting $30 billion a week, and inevitably raise that up to about $60 billion a week. Now, the issue with that, of course, is they created money by allowing the U.S. government to sell them bonds, not go into the open market and sell them, but to sell them directly to the Federal Reserve. And that was what we call monetizing capital. That means they printed more money and bought those bonds. Now, those bonds are sitting on their balance sheet. It'll be interesting to see what happens when the Federal Reserve tries to sell those bonds. Are we going to see a crowding out situation take place where suddenly the capital necessary to buy those bonds, which would have gone to other investments, now potentially goes to those bonds, and other investments start to suffer because you're crowding out as far as the capital is concerned? Or will we see major demand? Or could we see new laws passed here in the United States as far as retirement capital is concerned, as far as how cash is actually stored? There are a lot of things that potentially could happen, but here's the thing that I am fearful of. If you have $3 to $4 trillion on your balance sheet and you want to try to keep interest rates low, and you try to sell those assets, but nobody comes to the table to buy them, what happens to the government as far as raising new money when suddenly they can't even get rid of the old bonds that are sitting on the Federal Reserve's balance sheet? Things could get very interesting. And when you're carrying $18 to $20 trillion in debt, every 1% additional cost to the U.S. government adds up to $200 billion. So you can imagine what would happen if we just went back to a normal interest rate up around 3 to 3.5%. We're talking about an extra cost to the U.S. government as far as interest is concerned of $500 billion. That could be very dangerous as far as the overall unintended consequences. So, what do we have happening here in the metals markets? Both silver and gold have pulled back on this news, and silver took out key support right around the 1690 area. We've pulled all the way back down into the 1640s. We have one support level sitting at 1642 that hopefully will hold. But if it doesn't, if anybody has an opportunity to buy silver anywhere in the low 16s or high 15s, looks like a tremendous opportunity. Now, in the gold market, gold pulled back from 1297. It's testing support today right at 1248. If that area of support is breached, really what we're looking at is the December lows from 2016 down around 1217. But the bottom line right now is if you have an opportunity to buy gold and you want to buy it low and sell it high, the first thing you need to do is buy it low, and we may have one of those opportunities in the not so distant future. What you need to do today, though, is give us a call so we can chat with you about a strategy that fits your needs as far as how precious metals can protect your portfolio. Give us a call today at Monex. Thank you very much.